Thank you so much, Ms. Grace, for giving me the floor and for the very kind introduction. Also, I would like to express my gratitude to the co-organizers of this event, Partners in Population and Development, and the UNFPA for inviting me to join you today. Honorable country representatives, distinguished guests, and panelists, it's my pleasure to join you today to discuss the perspectives of the bank, the Islamic Development Bank, regarding triangular cooperation, its importance within the architecture of development cooperation, and its contribution with other modalities such as South-South cooperation and North-South cooperation to achieve our common development objectives. Ms. Grace and colleagues, if you don't mind, I'd like to frame my points in three subsections. First, maybe highlighting some key takeaways from the recent high-level committee for South-South cooperation, with on the takeaways from the side event on triangular cooperation particularly. And then I'll go into a few points about how the Islamic Development Bank supports South-South and triangular cooperation, particularly triangular cooperation, and then perhaps a few ideas on the future of triangular cooperation that I will try to share with you. So to begin, the recent high-level committee on South-South cooperation was held, as you know, in the long shadow of the ongoing pandemic. One of the main lessons that has emerged during this period is that we cannot achieve progress towards our common goals, particularly during crises like the pandemic, without stronger partnerships that are underpinned by solidarity. In this regard, we believe that triangular cooperation, bringing countries from the South together to help each other solve their development challenges, with the substantive involvement of the North as well as international development institutions, is an indispensable part of development cooperation, whether this cooperation is North-South or South-South. The BAPA Plus 40 outcome document outlines triangular cooperation as a modality that builds partnerships and trust between all partners and that combines diverse resources and capacities under the ownership of the requesting developing country to achieve sustainable development goals. The terminology is very clear on the dimensions of trust and partnerships while putting the ownership on the developing country. When we take this common understanding of triangular cooperation and look at its performance, particularly during the COVID-19 pandemic, I think particularly as development institutions to strengthen triangular cooperation at the national, regional, and global levels. With respect to the discussions at the high-level committee on South-South cooperation, as well as in subsequent dialogues on the subject, I would like to share two key takeaways that I believe are critical to pay attention to and address in the coming period. One of these is regarding capacity. During the high-level committee on South-South cooperation, we had seen excellent examples of cooperation that were shared by the countries in attendance. All the countries of the South have gone above and beyond in order to share experiences and know-how with each other to address immediate challenges posed by the pandemic, despite their national priorities, ranging from the development of vaccines to medical equipment, to sharing expertise on emergency response and treatments. And obviously, we can see that with the extension of the pandemic, this type of cooperation is still ongoing. But here it could easily be observed that countries with the necessary national institutional arrangements and capacities were able to respond more quickly and effectively than others, while those that lack the capacity have lagged behind. The second key takeaway is the issue of scale. So even under normal circumstances, we see that the scale of solutions, both in terms of technical as well as financial scope, tend to be relatively smaller compared to large development interventions. So with a focus on scale, the visibility and impact of triangular cooperation can be further enhanced, and its position as a complementary vehicle to achieve development objectives can become more concrete. So with respect to what the bank is doing to support triangular cooperation, I would like to begin by highlighting that South-South cooperation is very much in the DNA of our institution, owing to our membership being entirely drawn from the South. The bank firmly believes that the Global South has an accumulated wealth of knowledge and expertise that can be shared within the South and the North to help shape the world's response to development challenges. And in a way, this also goes to the earlier comments regarding, bringing expertise and solutions from the local context and thinking globally while acting locally. We've also been supporting triangular cooperation since 1983 through different programs and mechanisms, including our technical cooperation program and our homegrown modality called reverse linkage. Our technical cooperation program provides various tools and mechanisms for connecting member countries with each other through short-term exchanges and training. Our reverse linkage mechanism, on the other hand, was developed taking into consideration the bank's long-standing experience and lessons learned from our technical cooperation interventions. And it's a scaled-up mechanism that brings together a provider country with a recipient country with the aim to solve a particular development challenge. And here, I think the stakeholders, it's important to sort of, to dig deeper into this concept. When we say a provider country and a recipient country, we're really talking about specific institutions, right? So institutions that really want to build their capacity and enhance their capabilities through South-South cooperation. So these projects are long-term engagements, and they're designed to have concrete development outcomes. We started using our reverse linkage mechanism more heavily starting in 2014, and over this period of short time, developed a portfolio of projects that are worth close to 170 million US dollars. In these interventions, the bank provided catalytic funding, and we mobilized additional resources from our development partners. In addition, each reverse linkage project also leverages funding and resources from the provider and the recipient countries in order to reinforce ownership and commitment. Our reverse linkage interventions cover countries all the way from Suriname in Latin America to Indonesia in Asia. From a sectoral point of view, we have implemented projects in health, renewable energy, ICT for development, disaster risk management, education and vocational training, as well as agriculture and food security, to name a few. And during the COVID-19 crisis, we have also focused our interventions on the response to the pandemic, as well as recovery from the pandemic. To support our reverse linkage interventions, the bank has also developed a methodology for mapping resource centers, our institutions with proven expertise in a given field, which are selected to become providers of expertise. To date, we have undertaken mapping studies in many member countries, including Indonesia, Malaysia, Morocco, Pakistan, Tunisia, and Turkey. We are currently working on mapping resource centers in Azerbaijan, Nigeria, and Palestine. Another dimension in which we provide support to our member countries is in the area of development of their national institutional arrangements. During the preparations for BAPA Plus 40, the bank, based on lessons learned from its field experiences, initiated a process to develop a framework for structured national institutional arrangements for South-South and triangular cooperation. The framework was finalized in collaboration with the South Center and the UN Office for South-South Cooperation, and we launched this product in September 2019. Subsequently, we have also developed a capacity development program to implement this framework in our member countries with a view to enhance their national institutional arrangements for South-South and triangular cooperation and ensure their effective and impactful engagement. With respect to the work we do, I also want to highlight the important work that we're supporting through the Global Partnership Initiative for Effective Triangular Cooperation, a platform in which we're working with our partners from Canada, Mexico, Japan, the OECD, and the United Nations Office for South-South Cooperation, among other partners, to enhance triangular cooperation for our member countries, the South as well as the North. Moving on to some ideas in terms of the future of triangular cooperation, I think we should begin with the understanding that there's still a huge untapped potential in the kind of impact that triangular cooperation can have by facilitating and funding exchanges among the countries of the South together with the North. There are three primary reasons why this is so. First, there is still a lack of national institutional capacities and arrangements to be engaged in triangular cooperation. This is where we believe development institutions really need to work together to close this capacity gap and ensure that all countries have the necessary institutional structures, mechanisms and arrangements in place to be engaged in triangular cooperation. Both triangular cooperation implementation capacity as well as financing capacity need to be developed together. The second reason is the limited awareness and visibility on the kinds of solutions that exist, which can make a difference when shared across countries. So we do need to focus on how far and deep our platforms are reaching with respect to their ability to strengthen awareness, as well as prompt stakeholders to take action and engage in triangular cooperation, not just in the South, but also in the North. Last but not least, we need more effective funding mechanisms for triangular cooperation. And this is where the earlier point on scale comes in. When it comes to development finance, I think we can all agree that there's plenty of funding available. The question is on how to effectively channel the available financial resources to where they're needed the most. We also need to think outside the box with respect to developing innovative financing mechanisms, particularly concessional financing mechanisms to support triangular cooperation. To sum up, the future of triangular cooperation from our perspective includes strong national stakeholders that are fully aware of and engaged in the process of triangular cooperation with the capabilities and capacities they need to connect with their peers regionally and globally, and have wide access to financial and technical resources through appropriate platforms and mechanisms. These are some of the thoughts that I wanted to share, Ms. Grace, and dear panelists and guests, and I hope we'll have an opportunity to discuss these ideas further during the exchange. Thank you.